Welcome, you deep divers, to a really fascinating trip. We're diving into a parallel timeline, a universe where Sega, they didn't just survive the console wars, they absolutely flourished. Seriously, in this reality, Sega built this whole cultural empire. Think next-gen hardware, these massive crossover games, and probably the most aggressively visible CEO gaming has ever seen.
Yeah, and this isn't just a what if. The source material lays it out. We're looking at how Sega actually built this success, pretty much from the ground up, fueled by, well, fan loyalty and some serious strategic muscle.
Right. That's the core finding.
Yeah, our mission today, it's really to distill how they went from being, a competitor just hanging on to this multi-billion-dollar cultural powerhouse. We're talking projections of what? $11.05 billion gross revenue by the end of year 3. It's huge.
Yeah, 7 billion, wow.
And we're connecting the dots between three main things: specific hardware moves, just extreme levels of fan service in their games, and this kind of crazy zero-tolerance policy for online abuse, all championed by their legendary CEO, Bugsy Kuro.
Bugsy Kuro. We'll get to him. And yeah, we've got some incredible sources for this dive. Hard financial forecasts for their console, the Neptune, concept docs for games like Project X Zone 3, dream stuff, and these accounts of Bugsy's. Well, let's just say public confrontations.
Bonkers is a word that comes to mind.
Yeah. The real story here seems to be how they strategically deployed passion, both the fans and their own. So let's unpack this. Starting in the beginning.
Yeah.
The foundation. Money and hardware.
Right.
So it all kicks off in 2026, the big hardware relaunch, the Sega Neptune console. And this wasn't just like a retro box. This was a full-on commitment.
A serious contender.
Yeah. Our sources show year one, they sold roughly 6.2 million units.
6.2 million. Okay.
That alone brought in $3.08 billion in hardware revenue, which resulted in, get this, $737 million in actual hardware profit.
Wow. Okay, that $737 million profit, that's not just numbers. Right. That's the war chest start.
Exactly, and it had immediate impact.
Yeah, the Neptune grabbed, 18% of the console market?
Right.
Right away, which, wasn't number one.
No, it put them in third, right, behind the PS6 and the Switch 2.
Exactly. PS6 had around 35%, Switch 2 about 33%, but 18%, that meant they were forcing a three-way race. They were back. And that $737 million profit, that gave them immediate breathing room. Operational freedom.
The freedom, yeah, that's the strategic point, isn't it? It wasn't just cash. It meant they could actually do stuff, take some calculated risks later, which we'll definitely get into, without, panicking about shareholders instantly.
They earned the right to be unconventional.
Totally. And that hardware launch, it wasn't in a vacuum. It was fueled by this killer trifecta of first-party games right at launch.
Oh, yeah. Big ones. He had Sonic, Freedom Reborn.
Which was the one wrapping up the old Satan cartoon, the cliffhanger.
That's the one. Pure nostalgia play, but smart. Then you had Jet Set Radio Online.
The MMO.
Yep, live service built for the long haul. And the big sci-fi epic Phantasy Star Online 3, PSO3.
So, hardware profit and killer apps from day one. That synergy must have been potent.
Devastatingly effective is how the sources put it. Total year one revenue climbed to $5.03 billion.
$5 billion.
Which translated into an estimated net profit of about $1.83 billion.
The $1.83 billion profit in year one.
Okay, that number. That's the real turning point. It instantly established Sega as a, quote, first-party force again.
Gave them the capital, the confidence, and let them think long-term about hardware again.
Right, because they didn't just sit on the Neptune's success.
Not at all. Even while the Neptune was selling like crazy, they were already teasing the future. The sources confirmed the Dreamcast 2 was already being talked about.
Dreamcast 2?
Yeah, described as sleek, glowing, almost alive, slated for 2031. Right. So they weren't just riding the wave, they were planning the next decade, ensuring that momentum wouldn't stall.
Okay, so Neptune's success pays the bills, proves they're back, and funds the future. But it also, crucially, funded something else. It gave their new CEO, Bugsy Kuro, the cover he needed to launch his culture war.
That financial buffer really set the stage. This is where it gets, like you said, really interesting. Bugsy Kuro defined this incredibly aggressive fan protection policy. Sega basically became the first big company to actively fight fire with fire online.
Yeah, Bugsy wasn't just a suit. He positioned himself as a warrior, for the brand, sure, but really for the staff and the fans. After the big Dreamcast 2 reveal at Summer Game Fest 2030, which predictably stirred up a lot of toxic sludge online, including actual doxing threats.
Right, the usual garbage.
Bugsy took, let's call it preemptive and wildly unconventional action.
He didn't just issue a press release, did he?
Oh no. He physically showed up uninvited at this underground convention panel called Anti-Sonic, specifically to confront the doxers and harassers, face to face.
Wait, seriously, he just walked in.
Walked right in. The sources say the tension was just thick, and the speech he gave, it's legendary in this timeline.
What did he say?
He called out the cowards threatening his developers. Didn't just talk legal action. He promised physical consequences. The famous line is, "You won't be sending tweets after that. You'll be sending teeth to the tooth fairy."
He actually said that, sending teeth to the tooth fairy.
Verbatim, according to the accounts, this wasn't corporate HR speak. This was a CEO basically saying, "I will personally mess you up if you mess with my people," positioning himself as their literal shield.
Okay, hold on. A CEO of a major company, presumably publicly traded by now, right? Saying that.
In public.
Wasn't that just massive PR suicide waiting to happen, even if the intent was, righteous?
You'd think so, but that's the genius or maybe the calculated risk of it. Remember that $1.8 billion profit from year one?
The war chest.
Exactly. They had the financial padding to absorb any initial shock. But more importantly, Bugsy knew his real audience wasn't the general public reacting to headlines. It was the dedicated Sega fans and his own, probably terrified, development staff.
So the message was internal, almost, for the community.
Precisely. Aimed squarely at the toxic minority, telling them Sega would fight back. And for the fans and staff, it was seen as this incredible show of force that the boss literally had their back. It built fierce loyalty.
Okay, so he throws down the gauntlet, but that wasn't the end of it.
Not even close. That was just the warm-up act. 4 months later came the main event, the HateCon shutdown, which reads less like corporate security and more like the final level of Streets of Rage.
A coordinated security operation?
Coordinated, yes, but with Bugsy's unique flair. He arrived with Sega World's official security team Echo, okay, fine, but also with cyber warfare techs. And get this, MMA-trained employees dressed as classic Sega characters, some apparently as former Yakuza characters from games.
Cosplaying Yakuza members who also know MMA. Okay, that's maximum Bugsy.
Maximum spectacle, maximum efficiency. The shutdown itself was pure theater. Suddenly, this high-pitched VMU beep, from the old Dreamcast memory card, starts echoing through the convention hall.
A little screen thing. Yeah, I remember that beep.
That beep. Then lights out. Every screen flips to this glitching spiral pattern, and a voice booms over the speakers. "Your controller has been disconnected."
Chilling. And then?
Then the action. Targeted takedowns. This one infamous streamer, CTR Loltcry, known for harassment campaigns, taken out instantly. One-hit KO with a VMU screen to the face.
He hit him with a VMU.
Poetic justice, maybe? Nostalgia as a weapon. Meanwhile, Bugsy himself apparently walked over to the DOPS rat server area and physically disabled their laptops midstream.
While warning them, according to this note, that if they posted another person's location, he'd post their dental x-rays after he was done.
That's the quote. Again, not subtle, but the crucial part, the so what strategically, is this wasn't just a brawl.
Right. It had to be more than just spectacle.
It was. Bugsy had coordinated the entire thing with Interpol and global authorities beforehand. The physical shutdown led directly to mass arrests within 72 hours for cyberstalking, harassment, the works. It turned Bugsy's theatrics into a massive, decisive legal victory.
Wow. Okay, so the performance had teeth, literally and legally.
Exactly, and his statement afterwards really cemented the shift for Sega's brand identity. He said, "I didn't do this for revenge. I did it for safety. HateCon is gone, but the dream lives."
The dream lives. Linking it back to Dreamcast. Clever. So Sega became the company that would go to extreme lengths, legally and maybe physically, to defend its community and staff. That kind of loyalty must be hard to buy.
Unmatched loyalty. They basically used their financial stability to create arguably the safest creative ecosystem in the entire industry. That was the core principle of the Bugsy era. Protect the creators, protect the fans, aggressively.
Okay, so that's the Bugsy factor, the cultural shield. But you can't just run on aggression and finance. You need the content, the games that kept this whole thing going.
Absolutely. And the content was, well, ambitious doesn't quite cover it. Let's start with the biggest one, the bureaucratic miracle. Project X Zone 3, Ultimate Cross Battle. This landed in 2027.
Ultimate Cross Battle. The scale of this thing.
Yeah.
It sounds nuts.
Breathtaking is the word the sources use. And it says everything about Sega's newfound clout. You had Sega's own icons, obviously. Sonic, right?
Sonic, yeah, but also guys from acquired IPs, maybe? Like Mega Man was often linked there. And get this, Mario.
Mario. In a Sega game, standing next to Sonic.
Shoulder to shoulder. But wait, there's more. Goku.
From Dragon Ball.
Yep. Link from Zelda. Sailor Moon. Samus Aran from Metroid. Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. All-in-one strategy RPG.
Okay, stop. Forget the game for a second. Just the licensing for that. Getting Nintendo, Capcom, Bandai, and Namco, maybe Toei, all to agree, to put Mario and Sonic and Goku and Link in the same game, that must have taken an army of lawyers and unimaginable goodwill. What does that say about Sega's rep in this timeline?
It says they had secured two critical things. One, massive capital, obviously. You need money to make those deals. But two, trust. After seeing Bugsy's aggressive but ultimately successful defense of his own people and IP.
Other companies felt safer partnering with them. Exactly. They saw Sega as this stable, successful platform that would actually protect the integrity of their characters and the creative environment. It wasn't just a game, it was like a global IP summit manifested as a product. And the projections. Almost $960 million in year one revenue alone for that one game.
Nearly $1 billion. Just,
yeah.
Wow, okay, that's the mega crossover.
Yeah.
But they also went deep on fan service for their own history, right? Like Sonic,
All right.
Freedom Reborn.
Oh, yeah. Pure, uncut fan service. This wasn't just another Sonic game. It was explicitly designed as closure, a direct continuation, finally finishing the story from the Sonic Satan cartoon cliffhanger from the 90s.
The one everyone waited decades for, honoring Ben Hurst's original vision.
Precisely. And they even had the confidence, or maybe the audacity, to tackle some of the uglier parts of Sonic's extended history head-on.
You mean the Penders situation,
Yeah.
the comic book legal stuff?
Exactly. There's this Easter egg in the game called the Penders Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
You find this abandoned Echidna ruin, right? There's a cracked mirror on a pedestal labeled the Lost Line.
Okay.
And if you look into it, you see this distorted reflection of a ridiculously complex, like over-designed armored Echidna. Very pointed reference. And then Rotor the Walrus just deadpans.
Thank chaos, we stuck to real history.
Ouch. So Sega officially took a side in the canon wars, using the game itself.
Pretty much. It wasn't just a gag. It was them drawing a line, giving fans definitive closure on one of the most toxic, long-running arguments in the Sonic fandom. They realized fixing old baggage was maybe as valuable as launching something totally new.
Bold move.
Yeah.
And they didn't just fix old stuff. They were reviving genuinely forgotten characters, too.
Yeah, like Tiara Babowski. Remember her?
Yep.
From the canceled Sonic Extreme.
Vaguely, the cat character.
That's the one. They brought her back, not as some damsel, but as this cool archaeologist adventurer type, and gave her her own Game Gear exclusive title.
Game Gear. Wow. Deep cut.
It showed commitment, right, to all of Sega history, not just the AAA stuff.
Okay, so huge crossovers, deep fan service. What about the ongoing stuff, the live services? Those were huge revenue streams keeping the lights on. Jet Set Radio Online, the MMO, it was apparently fantastic. Real-time graffiti wars, crews battling for turf in these fully interactive cities, constant digital vandalism and community building.
It's chaotic and fun. And PSO3.
Phantasy Star Online 3 went deeper into the RPG elements. Way more complex skill trees, evolving classes, and these huge planetary shifts based on collective player actions, designed to keep people hooked for years.
Right, and you mentioned Sailor Moon before.
Yeah, can't forget the Sailor Moon Chrono Guardians RPG. That was another big hit. You created your own Sailor Scout, messed with the timeline.
Wait, you could change history. Like, try to save Sailor Pluto.
Exactly. Branching moral choices with real consequences. It showed Sega could handle beloved external IPs with respect and creativity, moving beyond just their classic mascots.
Okay, so massive revenue, the fierce CEO defending the castle, and just this fire hose of incredible fan-focused content. What did all that enable? Where did they put all that money and goodwill?
Into the real world, starting with Sega World. The next level. Phase 1 alone. A $500 million investment. They weren't just making games, they were building a physical kingdom based on their IP.
$500 million for theme park expansion.
More like a cultural mecca, designed to immerse you in Sega history. Sources talk about key zones, like the Dreamcast district. It had, like, true open-world Shenmue VR experiences. Imagine wandering around Yokosuka in VR and a massive, interactive Samba de Amigo stage.
Okay, Shenmue VR sounds amazing. What else?
The Mobius Adventure Zone, obviously centered around Sonic, high-speed coasters, naturally, and the Jet Set Radio Street. This sounds cool. Had a huge digital graffiti walls where guests could use motion controls like their whole body to tag the walls, bringing the game to life.
Using your body to spray digital paint. Nice. The whole park sounds like wish fulfillment.
Pretty much.
Right.
But the absolute peak of this cultural convergence, that was the Mobius Moon Festival.
Mobius, Moon. Okay, Sonic and Sailor Moon again.
Exactly. A global 3-week-long event celebrating that ultimate crossover power. The centerpiece was this huge stage show, The Moon and the Emerald, obviously referencing both franchises.
And the merch. Let me guess.
Oh, the merch was insane. You couldn't move for Sailor Scout Sonic plushies, apparently.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Just to picture it. Sounds like a license to print money.
Basically. The grand finale was this huge cultural statement moment. Sonic, Usagi from Sailor Moon, and Sakura from Project X Zone 3 all standing together on stage, unifying gaming and anime icons. The event alone estimated $310.5 million in revenue.
Just the festival. $310 million. Wow. The culture they built was literally funding itself.
And then after all that, the chaos, the growth, the Bugsy confrontations, the brand shifted. Around year 6, they entered what the sources call the chill era.
The chill era, after all that intensity.
A necessary strategic pivot, it seems. They'd established dominance, defended their turf. Now it was time to consolidate and nurture.
How'd that look?
Bugsy actually stepped back from the CEO role, became creative director instead. The company focus shifted to polish, fan gratitude, even wellness, bizarrely enough.
Wellness. Sega Wellness.
Yeah, expanded Sega World zones like a Chow wellness spa and a Mobius brunch experience. A real shift in tone from, threatening trolls with dental records.
Hey, quite the shift from Teeth to the Tooth Fairy to Chow Spa.
The message changed from defense and aggression to nurturing the community they'd built. Bugsy himself summed it up in a keynote that year. He said, "I didn't rebuild Sega just to keep screaming into mics. I did it so the people with vision could build their dreams. We secured the dream. Now let's chill. Let's breathe. Let's play."
Wow. Okay. So the intensity was just a phase, a means to an end.
Purposeful intensity. That quote really nails the two forces that drove this whole alternate timeline success story, doesn't it? You had Bugsy's aggressive, absolutely uncompromising defense of the creators and the fans.
The shield.
Right. Coupled with this just unparalleled commitment to fan service, IP resurrection, nostalgia done right, through things like Project X Zone 3, the Seitam conclusion, bringing back Tiara.
It's history as the weapon.
Exactly. Passion as a shield, history as a weapon, built this incredibly loyal, protected culture.
Aggression and appreciation, perfectly balanced, all built on that mountain of cash from the Neptune launch. Okay, so here's something for you, our listeners, to think about. Given that Sega, in this universe, had banked over $3 billion in just discretionary capital by year 3, and then they deliberately shifted into this chill era of nurturing, what comes next? What would be the most culturally seismic, game-changing IP acquisition, or maybe a wild new Sega World location that they would fund in year 7 now that they're focused on building dreams instead of fighting wars?
Oh, good question. What's the next dream they build?
Something to mull over. We'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.